performance. But Taco, I don't think they can let Achilles and the Cuchulainn go to the same side this time. They got to first pick the Achilles and then go right to the Cuchulainn.
I think that we can probably expect to see an Achilles ban, if not an Achilles and Cuchulainn ban. I do feel as though letting both of them go is certainly a little bit too much to handle, and it was very evident that it was super overwhelming power in terms of just Revenge trying to handle the control that Rival had in the early game.
Well, we should have those picks and bans ready here for Game 2. Let's see if Revenge can regroup here up against Team Rival, or if Team Rival is just going to continue to do what they did there in Game 1, and that was just dominate. And they did it by dominating the jungle, by having the early pressure. Fly was 5-0-1 at one point. They just could not, with Mango struggling, they couldn't put pressure on the Fly either in the mid lane.
It gets difficult to try and focus out of Discordia. I think that one team fight prior to Revenge losing the Gulf Fury was the only instance that we ever really saw Fly being pressured out. So they just need more team fight AoE, I think. I think that their picks alone, they're probably not going to win out on the laning phase. So look for a composition that's going to favor you super heavily in the team fighting stage.
And I think they've got to do something different from this Nox pick. We didn't get to talk about it much during the game because it didn't do much during the game, at least from what I could see there, Taco. They're going to need something that can stand up against the Discordia a little bit better and help in the team fights.
It was the roots. I think the roots were too inconsistent to make the Nox a viable
There was
pick.
One he missed on Predators in the jungle. It should have been a free kill. Yeah, that's right. You're 100% correct there, Taco.
And so I think that, straying away from the Nox for sure. Maybe look for something like a Giannis, perhaps, or maybe even the Agnis. I know that those aren't such prevalent picks usually, but I think that if Revenge were to lean more towards that style of play, something that they can definitely hard disengage off of, that could maybe throw Rival for a loop and shift them off their game.
Well, that's going to be the call here from Team Rival. It appears that they are on the clock. They're going to ban this Athena out, which I believe they did ban in Game 1 as well. I was a little bit surprised when their first pick. Athena very strong right now, but looks like that's not really one that they want for DineOhSaw. He went with the Ganesh instead last game.
It's just a smart global pick to take away from, though. And with Rival choosing to ban away the Odin and the Athena, this leads me to assume that there could be some possibilities for a healer composition in the works in Rival's team.
Yeah, they want to try and take this away from Revenge as well. The Odin, I think, was one of the things that actually went well, despite the fact that they lost the early pressure. And when the team fight started going their way, it was, as you alluded to, him isolating Vapor's Coast, kind of keeping him away from everyone else. So I think that taking that Odin off the page and trying to make them play something else, a good call from Rival as they pick up the Terra.
And Terra, you can't go wrong with that Earth and Fury, man. A lot of those team fights can really be determined by that overwhelming burst of damage. But I really like this Xbalanque return for Revenge. I think that was a strong pick, and the Darkest Night was actually one of the main reasons why Revenge were able to find as many kills as they did.
Cuchulainn going to come in. That's also a good pick for them to just take this away from Rival. Don't allow them to have that double warrior that just had too much pressure. They've banned the Achilles this time, and they've picked the Cuchulainn for themselves. So Rapio is going to have to find something else along with Predators to try and establish that early pressure.
And the Zeus, though, this is
Z-Man.
This is kind of one of those toss-out picks. We saw the Zeus as like the pocket pick that Rival had for LAN. And now to see Fly still choosing to stick with it, his guns on that. I love the setup potential that they have already combined between the Terra and the Cabrakan, two really strong gods in terms of keeping certain members in place. And what better way to keep things in place for a Zeus than with those two gods?
That's a lot of magic damage I'm looking at there, Taco. Even Cabrakan can burst you maybe a little bit sooner than you were expecting, so that's scary coming from Team Rival, and still leaves plenty of room for Vaporish to draft a very strong hunter for himself. The Ullr still available if they want to grab that, if it's still there after the ban phase. But Erlang Shen going to come through for Revenge. You thinking this is going to be Erlang jungle, Erlang solo? Where are these two going?
I feel like this is going to be an Erlang jungle, at least for the moment. I mean, we already saw the Raven jungle, so maybe it could be a theme that they just prefer to run the warriors in the jungle. And not to mention that Erlang does have some strong setup possibilities too, and Erlang would be perfect for trying to hard stick commit to a Zeus.
Well, turning some attention towards the mid lane is Rival there with their bans. They're going to take the Discordia and the Poseidon off the board, Taco, and try and limit some of these options for Revenge, who go with Kumbhakarna, as if they could need more control here than the big Xbalanque ultimate during a fight, or Erlang Shen with his knockups, and Cuchulainn as well. Kumbhakarna certainly going to provide plenty of that.
Kumbhakarna, though, I feel can be really hit or miss because he's able to isolate like one target throughout the duration of a team fight, but if you don't immediately pick that target upon landing, what good does it do to even toss him up in the first place? And when I look at Revenge's current draft, well, there's the answer I was hoping for. I was waiting for that big burst instant, because you want the ultimates to line up, and I really didn't feel as though the damage was very evenly spread. I'm still not completely sold with the damage spread of Revenge, but I do think the Scylla is going to help out quite a lot.
Yeah, if you're worried about not being able to finish off a target when they land, there are a few gods that can finish them off better than a Scylla. So I think that is a good answer to that question that you were asking, as the Ullr and Serqet round out the draft. 4-team rival going to be going very likely over there to Rapio and Vapor's Coastin. So we are ready to move into game 1, or game 2 rather. We already saw game 1 here between Team Rival and Revenge. Predators is going to be playing that Cabrakan over in the solo lane.
Are you sure that's Cabrakan?
Oh, you're right. That might be Loki. It's hard to tell.
Fat Loki.
Yeah, it is.
Is he really? Do we still call him Fat Loki, or is he just like thick Loki?
How many C's, Taco?
I'm thinking a couple of Q's this time.
It's going to be the call here for Predators on the Cabrakan in the solo lane. I mean, how is this matchup here into Vizahfy, who's playing the Chulainn over here in the solo lane? We talk about it sometimes when you have the magical and physical jungle solo that you usually have a pretty good matchup. But hold up, Revenge, 5-man grouping here in dual lane, but there's no one home. They're not going to be able to find anything.
They're not going to get anything out of this, but they will get some deep wards, so that's always nice to have. They'll be able to have a strong indicating factor as to whether or not Rapio chooses to do that speed to red buff invade, or excuse me, not invade, but secure, because then the jungler tends to stray on over to the duo side, and if that's going to be the case, then Mango, I'm sure, wants to be the one invading all of Rapio's jungle to kind of let him have a taste of his own medicine from game 1.
Yeah, Predators and Rapio did not let that jungle breathe even for a moment, and Mango would certainly like to get off to a better start this game if he can. We'll see how well those two will be able to establish pressure over Rapio and Predators, who have very, very strong gods here. If you let these gods get a lead, the Cabrakan and the Serqet, it's very difficult to fight into them. The Cabrakan, I feel like, is punishable. If they can get him behind, they kind of have a chance. He's not as good when he's falling behind.
Predators, though, not even slightly phased by Vizahfy stacking up a little bit of that Chulainn passive, just looking for the transformation to make it work, and doesn't opt for the trimmers this early on.
That's interesting. Instead, electing to go with the 2 there, Taco. So usually, you know, you do see the trimmers, especially against someone like the Chulainn doesn't really have a way to stop you from just, you know, trimmering the wave until you are able to successfully clear it. But that's not going to be the choice here from Predators this time, as purple buff is going to get stripped away by Rival. They have way more clear, it looks like, here than Gino and Shen in the dual lane. They're going to use that to grab the purple and come right back to lane. Meanwhile, Revenge went to the red buff and gave that buff over to Gino to try and prevent any further buff steals.
I will say, though, a big thing about going for the refraction shield early on is if Rapio had been looking to play a little bit more aggressive and perhaps even looking to invade Vizahfy's blue buff, then that stun on the shield would be really important in terms of setting up an early first blood.
If they had had the opportunity, then yeah, they might have been able to find it, as Mango now is the one playing aggressive into Rival's jungle. As we mentioned, just a bit of a turn of fate from what happened there in game 1, as Rapio got some early poke in the jungle, I think near those right harpies. And now there's the trimmers, and this is what Cabrakan does so well.
That feels like one of those plays, though, where I almost want to see Mango continue to go in despite not having connected with or being able to fully lock Rapio down. And I say that mostly because of the fact that Rapio already used the Deathbane to escape from that initial pin, which means that Mango and Ling probably had enough damage to either confirm or invade that red.
Now, Mango is coming out on the backside here, but Fly seems undeterred by that Taco. And you were talking about you want to see some more pressure on the Rapio. I might be a little bit worried for LingXiao as well in the mid lane. He has gone with the rush. This could be into the Soul Reaver we've seen happen a lot here early. Bookatoth is an option as well, but I think Soul Reaver's kind of been the item here lately. And that does just mean he's a little bit less safe in the mid lane than some other mages.
There is nothing safe about rushing that build, especially on a Scylla, and if it is for an early game Soul Reaver, that could either work for or against Ling, like you just said, Finch. And if he does try to build into it, I can't see a world where Rapio and Fly don't just completely sit on top of this Scylla and make his life absolute hell for having ever tried to opt for that.
Well, they are going to strip away the red buff this time when YRNGino can't go over there to try and defend it. They're going to come towards purple as well. Blink actually comes out from Shen in the duo lane, but not going to be enough. And DineOhSaw going to be able to get out of there with his life and with the buff. Let's see.
So the focus has shifted, that's for sure. Rival paying a little bit more mind towards that duo lane side, and Revenge, well, it was obvious. Mango just wants to strip away every single one of those blue buffs from Predators as often as possible, and VizahfyTR more than happy to help, considering that he didn't even know what a blue buff looked like after the first game.
And happy that Mango's coming over to help him out with it. I think part of why they made that shift, though, Taco, is because they don't have the warrior who can just box. But this time, Rapio is here in the solo lane and waiting for VizahfyTR to commit. He does still have the ultimate, not too far from that rage transformation as well. So we'll see if Rapio can make this one happen. Gonna catch him with the Cobra's Kiss in the jungle, right into the stun, but immune to the stun with the ultimate. Great play from VizahfyTR. That saved his life.
That was a strong response. If Rapio is level 5, then VizahfyTR is undoubtedly dead there, but really, really strong timing on that Chulainn ult. It's going to make sure that he still lives back on his own accord.
And VizahfyTR is a little bit ahead in those Warrior's Blessing stacks as well. So the dual lane going well for him so far up against this Cabrakan, as opposed to trying to box it out up against the Chulainn. And that's what I was alluding to. I think without the Warrior jungle, we're not going to see them being quite as disrespectful in the jungle as game 1.
Serqet can still build towards that direction, though, if she wants to. Rapio could opt for a tankier type of build just because of the true damage that the Cobra's Kiss has to begin with.
It is a pretty common build, you're right.
Or, excuse me, Last Breath.
Right, where the Serqets don't have to always build damage, right, because they have so much just in the kit where they can kind of just ignore those protections with the true damage. So we'll see if that's what Rapio wants to do. So he has that option available, but early on at least, the pressure's not going to be quite the same. And we see that as now Mango and VizahfyTR are the ones coming to try and strip away the blue from Predators, and actually able to do so successfully.
Predators just going to leave that blue buff alone, as now he's just looking to try and survive against VizahfyTR and Mango. But Rapio's come over this time, and now he's level 5. This could be a potential first blood.
Does drop down the Last Breath on top of Mango to try and prevent the healing. Meanwhile, VizahfyTR is going to keep putting damage into Predators, and that was a good call to make sure that Predators cannot keep going in onto the jungler there of Mango, and that's going to help keep him alive.
It wasn't a fluid connection of abilities, except Predators is still in trouble. VizahfyTR wasn't ready to let it go just yet, and he's going to end up soloing Predators underneath that 2-1 tower for the first blood.
Finds the first blood himself. This time the Chullainn's on the other foot is going to be the call here from VizahfyTR, and helps him out a good bit in that lane. That rage form just so strong, giving you that extra bit of abilities, and Predator stuck around just a little bit too close to the edge of the tower and gets punished for it.
It's the last-minute transformation. Somebody like Predators is bound to be keeping track of that. Speaking of which, that's all of Vaporish Coast health off of that I'm a Monster, but no one has enough mana to give chase.
Just barely able to escape from that one was Vaporish Coast, but everything else was on point from LingXiaoWho and the combination there with the Gen on the Kumbhakarna, but that's what we alluded to in the picks and bans. The Kumbhakarna knocks him up, and then they've got plenty of damage waiting on you when you come down.
But Vaporish has 3 health pots, so he's not looking to back anytime soon.
No, he wants to stack up this Transcendence as soon as possible. He's going to head right back over to the duo lane. Meanwhile, 3-member split on the red buff from Team Rival. Not going to let this one get invaded. And now we'll see DineOhSaw make his rotation back over to the duo lane.
Vaporish certainly looking to play it slow here, as DineOhSaw won't be able to connect with that Terra stun, and the root was a strong follow-up for after. But a quick little Rising Jaguar going to make sure that Gino's in no trouble at all.
Fly again, putting damage into Mango, and again unpressured here as now Predators return the favor in what feels like the true solo onto VizahfyTR and takes him down the solo lane. Meanwhile, Mango has to use that ultimate just to try and heal himself up, but Rapio, recognizing it's down, is going to go aggressive in the jungle, gets knocked up. Cobra's Kiss, Last Breath available for damage, in the in-hand is what's going to bring in the big spike. Mango gets taken down by the jungler. 2 1v1s won by Rival there.
Rapio knew he had that one all along. Even after the knockup, he was sitting kind of low when he chose to ambush over that wall, but it ended up working out, putting Mango a little bit further behind and mostly just assuring him, even if you get your ult off successfully, you're still likely to die.
You saw it too. That's where Serqet's damage comes from. Stacking up all those poisons, and then that last basic attack for that big chunk. And that was what really kind of tipped the scale in Rapio's favor, being able to find that in-hand to proc all those poisons. And then there really was no way for Mango to box it out up against it.
The worst is being a Serqet player and not being able to find the auto attack.
Isn't it the
and
worst?
You know how much damage it would do.
It's a lot!
It would be like a chunk of their bar just goes missing but something always keeps you away from finding that auto. I think that that's the role Shen really has to play in this game. Speaking of which, DineOhSaw, good night, as Ling makes them go extinct yet again with that I'm a Monster off the Scylla.
That's right, 1-0-0 for the Scylla now. We were a little bit worried about the early game here for LingXiao, but has not really felt much pressure from Rapio, who instead has been in the jungle, giving attention to Mango as well as the solo lane, and hasn't gotten finished off that book just yet, whichever path that LingXiao wants to go, the Soul Reaver or the Book of Thoth, but hasn't needed it. Plenty of damage there working with the team.
Starting to really understand why Predators got that solo kill against VizahfyTR. That's going to have to wait because Shen's already been put to sleep here. Off of the ultimate, Fly trying to help make sure that they can secure the kill as Rapio ends up finding it, but it's going to cost him his life. Drops the last breath on top of Mango, but to no avail. There's no one to follow up.
Yeah, LingXiao was right there when the Serqet ults onto you. You're kind of stationary, or at least on top of whatever target you're on, and LingXiao's like, okay, free autos for me, and is able to finish that kill off. Rapio dies just to make sure they do take down Shen while he's in that pass.
Unfortunate for the Serqet, as normally that would be an easy cleanup sort of instance, but Shen did end up falling pretty close to that T1 tower line, so I like that Revenge still chose to respond into it and not really let it go for free. Yeah,
it was Mango, I feel like, really who blinked in and punished them for sticking around on top of the Kumbhakarna, so a good play from him as DineOhSaw trying to grab these Harpies by himself. Hey. He's going to get one. All right.
That's still good enough. I think that's more so Link could have tossed out an auto and probably secured both of them.
I don't think DineOhSaw had any claim to either one of those, in all honesty, but he got one. All right. More power to you. A lot of action for the support roles. Those fights like over wards and over one Harpy, as they have a hard time claiming those on their own.
Speaking of which, we've seen this one before, is DineOhSaw makes sure that Predators gets a little bit of assistance in securing those Harpies. VizahfyTR tried to stop it from happening and said he's going to get cut off from these tremors.
Tectonic Shift going to have him trapped, but he just breaks the wall calmly, just VizahfyTR, and walks right on through. Meanwhile, enough space was created for the blue buff to be stolen away, but there's no one on this side of the map to help out Vapor's Coast. They wait out the Garden Strike a little bit too long. Vapor's Coast lands the axe as soon as he lands and looks at the return damage on the Gino, who dives into the tower. Rising Jaguar is just not enough damage. Even the 2v1 and both ultimates were not enough.
Vaporish knows that a single bladed arrow would probably be enough to take out Shen, and he doesn't have that Kumbha passive available. It'd be a certain death, but he doesn't want to risk it because Gino could get the same sort of return fire on top of him.
Vapor's Coast is still here in the jungle. Just barely does not get hit by the center of that pin there from Mango, and now he's on the escape with his own transformation as Rapio instead goes to the purple buff. They do secure their own red, so Vapor's Coast is at least able to get that done, but playing it a little loose is
one
the
more
Hunter.
wave syndrome.
Yeah.
That's what it always comes down to. And in that case, it wasn't necessarily one more wave as much as it was one more buff, but you get the point.
Not taking my red buff farm without me, and now Mango could be in a little bit of trouble as Rapio's here. Does get the taunt out, avoids the I'm a Monster coming out, not going to be able to go in and get those in that last in hand like we were talking about, instead forced to ambush away.
I think Rapio got a little bit lucky there. It looked as though the taunt actually pulled him out from what would have been a guaranteed crush damage and the Sikkim.
Instead, he ends up surviving and just barely able to jump away. Really, it looked like a good kill for Rapio in the 1v1 up against Mango, but the rotation from LingXiao helps to even that one out, and it is going to be the Soul Reaver that our mid laner for Revenge has elected to go with. So you know that I'm a Monster would have got it done if he'd been able to land it, or the Crush.
It's a lot of damage, but you've got to watch and make sure your Soul Reaver isn't just proccing on the Sikkim as opposed to the Crush or the I'm a Monster. It can be complicated at times, I feel, for Ling on this Scylla to not just auto-proc.
That does mean probably he won't be able to set up for himself like the Sikkim Crush combo, or else the damage will be coming off that the Sikkim, as you mentioned, instead of off like the Crush down muscle like he wants. So as long as he's following up off Shen, it shouldn't be too big of a problem because he can just make sure that it's the damage, the ability that he wants. But if he's in those 1v1s, he's got to settle for the damage being on the first phase.
And that could be a little bit complicated. Speaking of which, Mango gonna have to dash away here, opting for the turtle form just to make sure that he knocks up Predators. Predator's still chasing. Doesn't even care because he has the blink available. That's all he was looking for. Surrender vote yet again. Mango's been down this road one time too many.
Now Fly is here to bring in the Zeus damage. Has all those charges waiting, but not even get the credit. Rapio finds it with that last auto attack. That's the solo and jungle down for Revenge, as the rotation comes in from DineOhSaw as well. Team Rival don't want to go for the Pyromancer. Predator's actually in trouble from the crush. I am a monster, does not connect. That could have been a strong kill on the Predators, but instead he'll escape.
I'm just surprised that Zen doesn't ult there. If he ults Predators, not only does he go up into the air and take a little bit more damage once he lands, but Ling has the I'm a monster long enough to easily connect.
Yeah, that certainly could have been a much easier kill than just trying to have Ling just try and find the I'm a monster like by himself without any kind of real setup or anything like that. But instead, Predators makes it out of there. And maybe just not enough communication there from Team Revenge, just not able to capitalize.
Well, whether it was miscommunication or just an oversight from both, it doesn't really matter now. Revenge still looking to try and get those oracles, and they will be successful in that regard. But Rival, they've been kind of slow playing this one, I would say, a little bit more than usual. And RevengeGG looking to shake things up a bit as he goes straight in with DineOhSaw.
DineOhSaw is not even going to get a chance to dash. RevengeGG blows him up a little bit of help from the crush. And that Soul Reaver coming out from LingXiaoWho, who's 2-0-1 on the Scylla, by the way. And now Mango's going to be in trouble. Rapio returns the favor onto the jungler after his support ends up falling. Shen goes in aggressive, and the auto attack from Vaporous Coast does proc the passive. Fly not going to be able to find those last autos because Visify coming into zone away, so Shen should be okay.
Everybody came over to back up this Kumbha, but at what cost? Vaporous still looking for it over the top with that hail of arrows. Won't be able to connect, though, for the clean kill. And still, I have to draw it back to defending your Kumbha, sure, but is it really that worthwhile to get your Kumbha back up out of his passive when all of your farm is up on the opposite side of the map?
LingXiaoWho has no mana, does have to use Beats and the Aegis to get away from the Kumbhakarna, drops the Tectonic Shift, but now he's in a 1v3, and if Shen shows up, could easily be a 1v4. Does not strip away the speed buff either.
I'm waiting to see if Rival actually choose to go for the Gold Fury here, now that they know all of these members from Revenge are on the opposite side of the map. Vaporous had just back to base, though, so it doesn't seem as though they're going to have the time that they probably would have had if everybody had been in place at the right moment.
Now, we didn't get a chance to talk about the builds that much in Game 1 because Rival won it in like 23 minutes and we're zooming through the match. But this time, Revenge have looked much stronger. And we talked a little bit about this choice from Shen here, the Stone of Binding on the Kumbhakarna. We've seen it happen a little bit more. Aurora's been one of the ones in the SPL really pioneering it. But everything that this Kumbhakarna does is control, right, to proc that passive.
Speaking of control, that's exactly what Rapio is doing right now onto Visify, popping out the thorns, but I don't think it's going to make a difference here as Last Breath helps to make sure that Rapio gets credit for the kill.
Yeah, Visify just going way too far into the jungle there with the rotation coming over from Rapio. Mango gets caught out by Vaporous Coast on the backside. He falls as well. Another 2 quick kills for Rival off of over-aggression really into the jungle.
The Warriors aren't as tanky when you take them into the jungle and build full damage. Speaking of which, Fly taking a nice little chunk out of Zen's health here. And that's going to be an immediate Gold Fury pull. I love this decision from Rival. Get the pick, immediately go for the objective.
And that should be theirs. They're going to catch Rapio, though, on the rotation. Can't even get the ambush off. That is a good kill for LingXiaoWho, but that one life for the Gold Fury and the 2 picks they got earlier certainly still coming out in Rival's favor. They grab that for themselves and now look for the retreat. A 3,000 gold lead, almost 6,000 experience lead. That's rough.
And just kind of surprised that Gino doesn't bother to check that sooner. I mean, you have to know that Rival are probably on that Gold Fury, so to me, it kind of just reads as though Revenge were okay with forfeiting this first Gold Fury objective and then maybe looking to contest future ones.
I think perhaps they recognize they really couldn't have defended it as Predators does strip away this speed buff, had the information there. The War Team was okay to go in for the invade. Vaporous Coast now boxing it out with Gino, but just jumps away, avoids the poison darts, and Gino avoids the axe.
I think we just saw, you know, the stages of grief as Mango just has been slowly evolving through them. First it's frustration, now we're in the acceptance stage where Predators have stolen his speed buff yet again, and he's just got to be like, okay man, I get it.
Are those the stages?
Oh, we're fast forwarding a few of that
sure, okay.
You know,
it's just been so rough for Mango. Yeah.
Okay, sadness was the start of the game, and then that typically evolves into the anger stage. Speaking of which, Vaporous feeling some of Mango's aggression, or pent-up aggression, I should say, as Gino make sure to acquire the 6th kill for Revenge on the board there.
Pyromancer, though, is going to be the response from Team Rival, as they've got 4 members on the right-hand side of the map in response to 3 on the left-hand side. In fact, they're not even going to go for it. They're going to see if they can catch out Visify. They cannot. And instead, really, they've gotten nothing so far. Now they're going to pull the Pyromancer one more time, but Fly's leaping. He's not going to help with any damage.
They gotta make a decision.
This has been a really good play from Revenge. They're just gonna take this tier 2, and Rival aren't gonna get anything. A big play from Revenge.
That's a huge gold swing as well for Revenge, and Predators will finally make his way over, and that's gonna spell the end of Mango as we know it. Not only taking the speed buff, but his life now. And Rapio looking to make the same thing happen on the opposite end, punishing Vizahfy for overextending.
Almost able to get that kill in the 1v1. Rapio's damage is here in full force. Even Vizahfy is feeling it at this point on that Chulainn. And that tier 1 tower should fall in trade, and Predators did come over and find the kill onto Mango as well. So yes, they lose a Porous Coast, and they lose the tier 1, tier 2 tower, but they get a couple picks back in response.
Rapio's only interested in the jungle farm, however, because he's got Predators playing the rest of the zone duty elsewhere on the map. I'm a Monster has been used from Ling, but he just wasn't able to find anything with it. Speaking of which, this should be a free one for Predators.
Yeah, he's able to grab that kill in the jungle. Meanwhile, Rapio continuing to go look for the invade. The jungle forces back Mango and ambushes away, trying to make it over towards Predators. His backup, who does have the tectonic shift and does use it to wall off the rest of Revenge to get Rapio away.
Almost feel as though Rival nearly decided to go in there, but just a little bit too deep for Fly to get close enough to drop his own ultimate on top of him.
Now, I do want to point out the tier 1 and solo did stay standing. Vizahfy teleported back in to defend that one, so the minions were not enough to take it down. As Shen is here in the mid lane, gets rooted out. Predators is right here to follow up, but does not land the stun. Instead, the Trimmers, but Epic Uppercut gets him out of the fight for now. The Rage Transformation on Vizahfy does force back the rest of Rival for a second.
But you still have to pay note to this lead. Speaking of which, Predators trying to express it onto Gino as we speak, getting pushed underneath the T2 tower now by Vizahfy, but he's still standing strong.
Shell comes out from DineOhSaw to keep him alive. Tier 1 tower in mid collapses. Meanwhile, the two junglers are over there on solo lane, having a good time of it for themselves. Rapio does put the last breath down to Mango. Doesn't have any mana, so should fall here and does. Rapio finds the solo kill.
I'm just surprised that Mango would ever try to fight a level 18 Serqet when he's only level 14. That's got to be the frustration.
Yeah, he pushes up into tier 1, and Rapio makes a rotation over the punish as Vizahfy does drop the thorns to try and keep chasing into Predators, who is going to escape. Fly comes in and drops the ultimate, but gets blown up early on by LingXiao, and that burst damage on the Soul Reaver. Now, DineOhSaw's in a little bit of trouble. We were worried about this Scylla 4-1-1, though, for the mid laner for Revenge. He's had himself a hell of a game. Now, DineOhSaw could potentially be in trouble as Vizahfy and LingXiao team up, and Zhao makes it to his 5th kill, 5-1-1.
Ling is starting to become a huge issue for Rival that they need to pay note of sooner rather than later. I mean, he's already 5-1-1, and they're probably going to be aiming to get this kill onto Vizahfy. Sure enough, Bladed Arrow combined with the Hail of Arrows takes him out pretty easily. But Ling has just been really doing everything in his power to try and keep Revenge hanging on.
And he wants to make sure whoever it is that is his target, he blows them up. The Spirit of Desolation, the Soul Reaver. Looks like he's working on the Obsidian Shard right now. LingXiao, man, if you get knocked up, he wants you to be dead when you land.
I like it. This is what Revenge have to do if they want any chance at all of taking out Team Rival, because Rival realistically don't have gods that can survive a single bout of the Scylla crush damage or the I'm a Monster off of a Kumba ultimate, or even, I would say, Mango's knockout.
But this jungler difference is starting to become a real problem. You saw the experience difference just now on those charts. I think it was around 10,000. A lot of that is the big gap between Predators, Rapio, and then their direct opponents, Vizahfy and Mango. 3-level lead in the solo lane and a 5-level lead in the jungle. 720 experience per minute by the Serqet. It's absurd.
It's hurt looking at the solo jungle combination. Speaking of which, now's the time. Oof. Doesn't even get a chance to use that I'm a Monster. It was all defensive.
The I'm a Monster does have CC immunity, so you're not going to get stunned. It does not let you walk through the tectonic shift, though. And in that case, he just gets trapped in. And that's all they needed from Predators. They find that kill into the Mage, who's been a real problem for them. Kind of the only person for Revenge who's been able to get much done. That means Team Rival should be able to get this gold Fury without any trouble.
That's sending a message. It's Rival sending a very clear message to Revenge. We don't care where you think that you're going to be able to start making a comeback from, because it's not going to make a difference. Gino forced out of the Aegis already. This team fight's still happening, though, at the Gold Fury, while Gino's trying to hang on to his life.
The epic uppercut Fly, but look at his health bar. There's no follow-up when he lands. Predators takes down Gino over in the dual lane, but Minions kind of have something to say about that. Meanwhile, the rest of Team Rival are going to try and chase out with Revenge. Mango is here to take down Predators. No health, no mana. All he has are jukes, and they're not good enough.
They're not good enough, but they will buy enough time for Rival to still sneak away that Gold Fury. Everybody from Revenge went to cut off Predators. He was only at 10 HP. They just needed to send one, not the whole team.
And instead, they allow the Gold Fury to get taken by Team Rival. Now the gold lead is up to 5,200, and yes, Predators is going to have to sit down for a little while, but I think he's okay with that trade since he took Gino down first. Really, they had to go even up the trade that Predators made happen for himself in the duo lane.
That just felt like Revenge getting a little bit too tunnel vision there. It's like they knew on the first time that the Gold Fury got taken, they're like, this is fine, we'll make up for it later, and then they did. But that time around, it felt a lot more like everybody just thinking to themselves, I'm going to be the one to get the kill credit onto Predators. So they all push up towards that duo lane side and completely ignore the fact that Rivals still have 3 members sitting strong to easily secure that gold.
And now this is right around the mark, Taco, where Rival won that last game, but you talked about it. Revenge have done a better job kind of slowing them down just a little bit, but Rivals still have a pretty big lead for themselves. LingXiao does seem like he could be a win condition for Revenge, but then Rival go find him in the mid lane and punish him for it. I mean, where can Revenge turn to now against this Rival squad that's so far ahead?
Well, this could be a nice place to start, except Xuen not going to be able to connect actually on that Kumbhakarna ultimate. Seems as though he might have been aiming for DineOhSaw, but ends up missing out.
That's a big ultimate now that's going to be on cooldown. It's been the setup for LingXiao for him to find all he does is, at this point, is built damage, and that's been the setup for it. Now DineOhSaw able to just kind of sustain up a little bit from that poke he took in the jungle, and that's a win for Rival yet again.
It's a bit surprising, though, that normally Serqets will almost always opt for the blink option. Rapio here, though, goes for the Aegis because he's that concerned about Ling's damage.
LingXiao used the crush a little bit off the mark. Blink comes in from Shen, though, for the setup, but not going to be any follow-up on that either, as Rapio is able to escape away, but now Gino's ultimate is down.
They've spammed so much and gotten absolutely nothing out of it. It's just surprising that Revenge, for as clean as they have looked in certain moments, cannot seem to bring it all together consistently.
Yeah, and Rival's done a really good job of like baiting themselves, forcing or trying to get Revenge to use abilities a little bit sooner than when they would have been confirmed, and that's kind of netted them an ultimate advantage here. They don't have Mango's ultimate, they don't have Gino's either. Shen does go in, but he goes right into Fly's damage. They lock him down, and Fly needs to detonate. That does proc the passive, and Predators is able to find Gino as well. That's a quick swing in Rival's favor as they end up finally taking down Shen.
Oh no, it's just Ling all by himself. Predators is TP'd in, so Rapio and Predators combined looking to take out this tricky Scylla, and they will succeed in doing so. Speaking of which, VizahfyTR is still on the escape route, and he's not going to be able to find any escape from these 4 members of Rival.
Yeah, especially not with Predators making the rotation in. Even with the push, Fly pulls the trucker horn and puts him down. Only Mango left alive, and he's way back in the fountain at this point. Fire Giant should be going freely over to Team Rival in a 4-for-0 fight. They now have a 6,200 gold lead to rest on, and they're going to have the big map objective as well.
And VizahfyTR actually got pushed out of that fight, too. So that's, one more time, all of Rival making up for the Hunter not even being there because of the early focus, and it's still not seeming to impact their team play.
It really has not. He's 3rd in the game, or 3rd least in damage, even behind Gino, his opposing Hunter. And Rival haven't really missed a beat, have they? They seem to still be doing okay. That's what's so strong about this roster. Yes, VizahfyTR Coast, it feels like a human highlight reel walking around the map, right? But so is Rapio, so is Predator, so is Fly.
I think we're used to seeing a core for teams be normally comprised of like the support, jungle, and solo, especially in Season 5. That has always felt like the underlying factor for a lot of teams. But here for Rival, I don't think it's just necessarily those 3 players combined. I think that Predators also brings himself as a strong candidate for one of the main reasons why Rival is able to have so much success despite the team fights not being a clean lineup in terms of manpower.
I think without a doubt he's top player damage here in this game, but I think you're talking more than just this game, and I think you're right. Predators, we saw it in Game 1, we saw it at the LAN. He creates so much space for the rest of this team to operate in, for Rapio to be able to go wherever it is that he wants to on the map, for VizahfyTR Coast to have the 1v1s in his lane without having to worry about the enemy jungler, as Tier 2 tower and duo now comes crumbling down. I mean, it feels like Predators really does set so much up for the rest of the squad.
Predators has been running this set almost by himself, and Rapio probably super excited to have this guy on his team, because if he had to deal with all of these invades, I don't even know, he'd be pulling his hair out by now.
Yeah, right, if he had to go up against Predators in his jungle all the time, it'd be a nightmare. Tier 2 tower does end up falling as Predators zones away the rest of Revenge. Only the Tier 2 tower in solo remains. All 3 Phoenixes now still up on the map and plenty healthy for Revenge if Team Rival want to go looking for those. They still have Fire Giant for another about 2 minutes or so. Plenty of time to come up and try and make a push on at least one Phoenix, as they might have caught Shen out. He is able to dash away, though.
You never feel too safe against Rival. I think that's the main message that they've really laid across for us here, and I don't think it'll be much longer now as Predators go straight in onto Ling and just blows him right up, forcing him immediately back into that fountain.
Already the Scylla is out of the fight. Now Vizahfy is in trouble as Vaporous Coast has him in his sights. The lockdown comes in and the auto attack lands. Next up on the chopping block, Reform Mango as Rapio hits. Ling, though, finds the ultimate but can't find the reset. Predators is really far out in his front. LingXiao has a double kill now. It's 2 for 2, and this Scylla continuing to cause problems for Team Rival as they still don't have this Phoenix.
Rival are going to get 1, but they won't be able to get the other 2, I think, with just these 3 still left standing. Fly, probably the main reason why we don't see Revenge giving immediate chase. Don't want to get caught out by any of that chain lightning into the detonate.
Chain lightning does not go all the way through to LingXiao, who might, if they could have stepped forward a little bit further, if he could have found some good damage there. But if you hear me questioning this LingXiao on this Scylla again, just stop me, because clearly he has brought the answers here this game. 7-3-1. He's swinging at this point. Has 16,000, nearly 17,000 player damage, and it's all been on relevant targets.
Even repping the new Scylla skin.
Oh yeah,
I like that one. All the little dragons.
it's a good one. I think she could like sit down in it like a chair, like a throne, kind of, right? It's a very cool skin. I agree with you. Maybe that's been giving LingXiao that extra edge. He's been styling on him
for sure.
Giving him that extra edge.
Hey, if you look good, you play good.
That's true.
And I think that Ling has been playing pretty great.
Soul Gem to go along with the Soul Reaver and the Obsidian Shard to just blow open the door and do all that damage all at once. You do not want to catch this Scylla right now with all those procs up, or you are going to be feeling the hurt. He's going to try and finish that build off here shortly. Already, though, Fly swinging for his side as well on the Zeus. Second in the whole game in player damage. We've been singing LingXiao's praises. Well, Fly is doing plenty of work himself.
I just think that Cabrakan was such a smart pick. Because at first, I had a kind of a rough time understanding it, but looking at the way that Predators has chosen to pilot this Cabrakan in terms of just cutting off Gino and Ling, anytime that he has that blink available, he's looking to go on either one of those 2, and it just completely destroys them with his damage.
Vizahfy all alone here in the solo lane, but they can't get any damage onto him, so it'll be all right. They want this tier 2 tower on the right-hand side, but not going to be able to grab it. In fact, Mango going to continue going aggressive into the jungle. He will meet up with DineOhSaw, who has Rapio here in tow. Fly finds a good spot to put in good damage, and Shen's already very low. He is going to get epic uppercutted and knocked up into the air, and LingXiao there with the follow-up. Of course he is with the I'm a Monster. Takes down Fly early.
Rival have got to run. This is bad news bears. Every which way you try to break it down, and if they want to fight into this, it's going to have to rely on Predators doing something huge to turn things around.
Shen tries to blink in, but does get stunned out, but coming on the backside for Vaporous Coast, and looking for the target is Gino, and he finds him. DineOhSaw, though, returns the favor, so it's 2 for 2 overall, but Shen is still in the passive. He actually is not going to fall, make it 1 for 2, still coming up in Revenge's favor.
Ling has just been putting in work time and time again to try and turn things around. Speaking of which, though, Predators looking to finally force him back.
This is good.
And Rapio giving chase means that he will collect it as soon as the Aegis wears off with the taunt.
But what did we say? Predators goes in and makes the space for Rapio. Now Predators actually could be in trouble as Shen comes in, sets up Vizahfy to find the last hit. Now Rapio is in the 1v2 and has to ambush away back towards DineOhSaw to try and get a little bit more support. But Revenge have a big fight over here on the right-hand side. Not even underneath the Phoenix Taco. They just find it with great setup between Shen and LingXiao.
I feel a little bit for Revenge in that instance, though, because you could kind of tell that they were maybe thinking about doing the Fire Giant or even the Pyromancer. They just couldn't afford to because they knew Predators was on their backside. And if they tried to even look at the Fire Giant and were all collected inside of that pit, they're probably going to end up getting stunned down and burst down.
So the epic uppercut came out from Shen. I can't believe I thought anything else was going to happen other than LingXiao being right there in perfect position to find the I'm a Monster. Just a great hit from him, and finally a good team fight. When Fly gets taken out early, the whole complexion of the fight changes for Revenge. They don't have to worry about that chain lightning ripping through the fight. Now with the Fire Giant started, Revenge are going to be here to not let this one go down for free. Mango is here along with Shen.
Not really any damage taking place though. DineOhSaw actually going to be able to cut him off with those walls, but the last breath getting popped so early means that Mango won't get the heal off of his passive, but all eyes on Gino and Xuen instead. And I thought it was all about Mango.
Instead, it ends up being 2 quick kills for Team Rival. That's the difference, isn't it? When Fly is able to sit comfortably in the back of the team fight and just pick his spot for his ultimate, they're able to blow up Shen and Gino very early on. That's a 5v3 now for Team Rival with Fire Giant on all 5 members. And Predators has caught out LingXiao before he could make the back happen. This is a huge deal for Predators. If he can at least stop him from joining the fight and force I'm a Monster defensively, the siege is going to be this much easier.
I think even getting the I'm a Monster right now is really all that they need to do. Speaking of which, still looking for more. Predator is able to survive that initial crush damage, although he does eat half of his health, but this is the cutoff that I was waiting for. All of VaPorish and the rest of Rival were looking to cut off Ling, and they're going to be able to. He can't get out of this one.
That's what Predators does for your team. That's not going to show up on the stat sheet. There's no stat for stop the person who's been destroying us in fights from backing, but that's what Predators did. The whole rest of the squad was able to come over for the collapse. Phoenix on left-hand side falls one more time. Gino and Chulainn have now respawned, so they'll be back for the defense, but they don't have their big player right now.
This could very well be the end of Revenge, at least in this set against Rival, because without Ling, they just don't have that huge burst of damage that they've been looking for.
Predators goes in by himself on the backside and is very close to falling, and it is Gino that takes him down 1-for-1. Support for solo laner. Earth and Fury comes out from DineOhSaw, but now it's Rapio who's gone a little bit on his own. Can't get the ambush off, actually gets interrupted, forced to use Death Bane. Follows him up with the Rising Jaguar, not enough damage, but Fly has plenty of damage and puts it into Gino.
Here's the problem, Gino Rising Jaguar straight through the Zeus ultimate, and well, I think Fly was pretty happy about that one.
Man, it's a double-edged sword. Rising Jaguar and Poison Darts are excellent damage, but it's also your escape, and uses it right into the ultimate from Fly, punishes him promptly, and is able to find yet another kill for Team Rival.
That's going to spell 2 Phoenixes being stripped away from Revenge.
Okay.
And Rapio nearly ended up dying there.
Calculated.
That's... it happens. I'll say that much. I wouldn't have been surprised if that was Rival just trying to troll their jungler a little bit.
Just dropping the aggro onto him, and he's like, whoa, guys, I'm low health. And he does make it out of there. They've now gotten all the tier 2 towers off of the map, and the Phoenix in duo A and mid. Only the solo Phoenix remains, but Revenge are holding on, Taco. Rival ended this game, I believe, in 23 minutes in game 1. This time, Revenge have made them go much longer into the game. They have their late game win condition here in the Scylla. If they can just find their setup, find their fight, I think Revenge certainly still have a chance here.
But that's the problem. They have to find their fight, or at least it feels like they have to force one to end their way, and I am having some tough times accepting that Revenge are going to be able to make that a possibility unless Rival grossly misplays, because the amount of focus that Rival has placed against Ling in the past few engagements is kind of impressive. They have not given the Scylla even the slightest instance to breathe, and I think that's what you have to do. Ling has been having a lights-out game performance in game 2, and you can't afford to let a single Scylla hyper carry her whole team like this.
The epic uppercut comes in. The I'm a Monster's there for follow. VaPorish Coast has already been deleted, and I'm a Monster gets the reset. LingXiao needs another target. It's going to be DineOhSaw. Doesn't get much damage from it. In fact, now it's Rapio going in looking for damage, but already a 5v4 for Revenge. Great play yet again from Shen and LingXiao.
That couldn't have gone any better because they got VaPorish. Of all people, that's the last member you want to see from Rival going down if you're trying to secure these Phoenixes, because he's all the structure damage.
And I'm not sure if he'd have time to use Aegis if he landed anyway, but he doesn't even have it. He has Blink as that second relic, so there's not even a chance of that happening. Pretty easy target for Revenge, and they've done a great job with it so far. Sikkim crushed for the defense, and without VaPorish Coast, this siege going to be that much harder. Predators blinks in on the Gino, but now he's the target. Gino chunks him down with those Xbalanque auto attacks. Fly drops in the ultimate. That is going to mean Mango's got to take a sit down. Rapio blinks in, and his target is going to be that Xbalanque, but Crush takes down nearly all of his HP.
And Gino's still looking to try and stay alive. Will be able to hold the Aegis until the last breath. DineOhSaw still going for more, but it's not going to be enough. Not yet, as Fly ends up soloing Xen. What the hell was that Kumba doing?
Yeah, cannot go in up against the Zeus 37 minutes into the game with a Rod to Hootie Obshard Spear the Magus. Clearly a miscalculation there, but is saved by the Scylla who comes along, helps him respawn through that sleepy time passive. And Revenge, yet again, Taco, have held on here in this game number 2. They are not going to go down quietly.
It's time for VayPourish to sit on the back line instead of standing up near the front of the Phoenix. He's not going to be able to survive for very long if he continues to stay that pushed up. And well played by Revenge, honestly, to focus him out in that way. I don't think there's too many hunters who are going to have the reflexes to respond to that blink ult by Xuen. So as long as Zen can continue to connect like that, and then Ling having the easy setup on that I'm a monster, there's not a chance for VayPourish to really survive.
And he's got the Relic Dagger too, does Jen. So it's up a little bit more often, the blink initiation, maybe than you might be anticipating. I'm sure they're well aware that Relic Dagger's there and are calculating for it, but I mean, when you got to make those split-second reactions, it might be happening just a little bit more often than you expect. But Fire Giant should be going the way of Team Rival. Mid Phoenix and Phoenix and Dual Lane are back up, but again, they are going to be weakened. And now Team Rival are going to be stronger than ever with this FG. They shouldn't have too hard a time pushing as long as they can avoid this LingXiao damage on this Scylla.
Fly hanging around on that Terra heal just a little bit longer. Did take a decent amount of poke from securing the Fire Giant. And, well, with all of Rival grouped up, it's evident that all they really want to do is take out these Phoenixes that have freshly respawned. Predators eats the Sorrier proc and the Soul Gem proc from the Scylla.
That means that the Iron Monster is going to land on the Predators, but that's not a VayPourish Coast, that's not an Ullr, so it's not going to be nearly as easy a time. The big setup from Revenge has already been wasted. This is the fight that Rival now want. Predators is going to back, has the teleport, so he should be able to come right back into the fray and join up with the team as Rival wait on the next minion wave.
Bit surprising that they would choose to drop all of their ultimates for a potential Cabrakan kill secure, and I just don't see that being worth it. Predator's just a little bit too tanky as a level 20 solo lane Cab, and you know that he's got the defenses necessary to stay alive through those moments.
Especially through that Bulwark passive. I mean, I feel like that's just going to be difficult to get that to happen if they want to try and keep going in onto him in the future as Predators goes in yet again, but this time he gets pulled back into the damage. He's just barely still alive, and it's actually Shen who ends up falling to Fly's detonate. Rapio hunts down Mango on the backside, finds yet another kill. Rival now 5v2, though they do have some low health bars that can get punished. They're going to go for mid Phoenix.
Ling's ultimate is up yet again, however, and Rapio and Predators feeling some of the damage, but that was without the Soul Reaver proc. Ling's gonna have that Soul Reaver in a few seconds, so he might drop the Alma Monster immediately after.
They don't have the strong setup without the Kumbhakarna. He does have the I'm a Monster coming up after the Sikkim hits 3 members. That does bring them very low, but good response on the relics. That could have ended this game potentially. That was such a big Sikkim, but good response on the relics. Team Rival still standing, and they're standing a little bit further back now. They're feeling it. Earth and Fury comes out. Team Rival, I think, are ready to start pushing in with this next minion wave. Sikkim crush miss, and now the fight's on.
Felt a little bit early, but VayPourish, all he's got to do is focus out this Phoenix. Darkest Night is getting popped because Gino's got to retreat into the base. Predators once more standing strong at the head of it all.
Mid Phoenix goes down. Vizahfy is stuck inside the Tremors, and Rapio happy to do the last bit of damage necessary to bring him down. Phoenix on the left-hand side going to be the target. Gino and Ling are going to rotate in, but they can't get in enough to try and stop VayPourish Coast autos. Phoenix on the left-hand side comes down as well. Rival have opened up the base of Revenge a little bit more. Shen goes in to try and find the stun, but cannot. Predators on the right-hand side is in trouble. Up against 3 members, finds a big stun. Mantle of Discord now flies in, and he blows up Gino.
That's the damage that Fly was looking to find every single time, and Ling, even though he made it back into the fountain, he might not be able to survive, still has the Aegis, and that's going to be enough to save him as Rapio gets punished for that aggression by Mango inside of the base.
Now they have to come all the way over to the Phoenix on the solo side of the map. Revenge are clinging to this map with their bare hands right now. Not going to let Rival rip this one away from them. Mango's going to be the target. Takes a good bit of damage from the bladed arrow. Now Fly is here, trying to get the charges to move through the whole team fight, but Mango again is able to escape. Phoenix on the right-hand side, still very healthy, but Predators with the blink chases Mango down.
That's a huge play actually out of Mango because Vizahfy is just about to respawn, so it's going to leave it at a clean 2 members left from Revenge, trying to stay and defend, but it's not going to be enough. Ling finally gets taken down yet again. Xuen, sure, you get the revive off, but it's into 10 HP.
Phoenix on the right-hand side now is very much in trouble. Only Vizahfy is alive to try and keep this base safe. Gino will be respawning here in about 7 seconds, but even then, it'll be a 2v5 as Vizahfy tries to force fly back. Not enough. Full deicide comes out from Rival. I don't know if Gino even wants to walk into this one. He does drop down the ultimate, comes in with the poison dart. They force coats at the target, but he jumps up, lands the stun, and is able to push him back into the fountain. Fly's able to get it done while he's trying to heal back up, but that's going to do it. Team Rival, they hold on 42 minutes, 55 seconds, and they take down RevengeGG.
That felt like Fly not wanting to deal with any of that game any longer. He's like, okay, this ends now, and he just drops the ultimate inside of the fountain just to guarantee that Gino ends up dying.
But Revenge look much better there in that game 2 than they did in that game 1, Taco. What an adjustment that they were able to make just in those picks and bans. They limited some of that early jungle solo pressure. They got a mid laner and a support combo that worked for them, and they were able to keep that game going much, much longer and looked much closer.
I think Revenge just ended up in a situation where they were up against a team with clearly more experience,
Yes.
but drafts can really make a huge difference. I think that if Revenge continue to have some very unique drafts that really play to their style, mostly focusing around Ling. I think that Ling is who they really need to be playing off of. That was a very impressive game, despite it being a loss, I think, from Revenge's mid laner.
And that's why I said this was an important litmus test for them, Taco, because you go into that first game and you kind of get punched in the mouth like that. How you respond as a team, that's important, especially up against a squad like Rival, who on paper you're probably supposed to lose to. They came back in with a game plan. They executed it very well. It just wasn't enough up against Team Rival here.
And that's just how it breaks down sometimes, but doesn't mean that we can't expect to see some more from Revenge in future weeks to come. I mean, this is only one of their first times around that we actually get to show a little bit of a taste of what's happening over in Europe.
Well, let's go ahead and get those standings up here so we can see where everyone is shaken up after some of these matches already. I imagine we'll be seeing Rival up at the top, and indeed we will, with 2 wins and with that 4 in the plus-minus. That means I think it's been 2 clean 2-0s for them so far. Rival looking very, very strong in Europe.
Which is how it should be, when considering that they are the team that just recently won the LAN over here.
That's correct.
When they came to visit, and since they're the first European team to do so, it's pretty easy to say that they could just very well be the best team right now.
I think you can make a case for that. Absolutely, Taco. I'm with you. I think Rival are at the very least the team to beat right now if you want to try and take that claim to being the top team. But that's just Europe. We actually still have North American console action for you all to enjoy. So we're going to take a quick break. You take a break too. Go get another drink, and then we'll be right back with you.
You better turn up. You better be there when I shake. Watch me rockin' if I can't stop. If I should fall, just go ahead. Go and catch me, baby. Yeah. We may be forced to cause a scene, make some trouble, baby.